70 years old, and here I am at the Waldorf Astoria. How'd I get so lucky? I got stories on top of stories. I used to work for Al.
And that's a look at the one-man show Satchmo at the Waldorf. It's playing off-Broadway at the West Side Theater on West 43rd Street and is getting rave reviews.
And here's the reason why. John Douglas Thompson stars as Satchmo himself. Oh, wait, there's more. He also stars as his manager, Joe Glasser, and another music titan, Miles Davis.
Wow.
But right now, he's playing John Douglas Thompson on the couch. So the setting of this is the Waldorf Astoria in 1971,
yes,
during one of Satchmo's final appearances, and then it's Satchmo telling his story through the voices of these men, right?
Yeah, it's actually Satchmo reflecting on his life. And the interesting part of the play is, as he's reflecting on his life, he turns into these other characters. Wow. So the story is told from three different perspectives. Armstrong's perspective, Joe Glazer, who was his manager's perspective, and we have a little bit of Miles Davis thrown in for good measure.
But this isn't your typical celebrity profile. I mean, this really looks closely at Louis Armstrong's life, warts and all, right?
Yeah, it really examines. I mean, most people are familiar with Armstrong through Hello, Dolly and What a Wonderful World. And the man with the smile and the trumpet and the sweat and some of the clowning. And that's much more of a public persona. This is much more of a private persona that we're looking at with Armstrong. So you get exposed to his pain, his vulnerability, his complexity, and his rage.
Yeah, but I want to applaud you for doing this, because the private side of Louis Armstrong basically is a metaphor for the 20th century. What he went through as an artist and an individual, and the race fight that he had to fight, and what he had to overcome. But I've got to ask you this question. Louis Armstrong, when I listen to him with Ella Fitzgerald, or when I've enjoyed his music, he's got a hard voice. Because when it seems like you would stress your voice. And don't you, within the course of minutes, go from one voice to another voice? How do you physically do that?
Well, for me, I have, as you can probably hear, I have a naturally raspy voice.
Right.
So I pretty much use my own voice. The way that Terry wrote, for Louis. The way that Terry wrote the play, he didn't want someone to impersonate Armstrong. He just wanted someone to capture the essence of him.
Yes.
So my voice is gravelly enough to kind of move in that direction. The other character that I play, which is his white Jewish manager, his name is Joe Glazer, and he has much more of a nasally voice. And then I play Miles Davis, who has much more of a whispery kind of voice. And I was able to go to the Louis Armstrong house and the Archive Museum and listen to reel-to-reel tapes of Louis Armstrong's voice. And I also watched like Merv Griffin and Dick Cavett and Mike Douglas episodes that he was on to get his bearing. Because we're playing Armstrong at the age of 70, 71, right? And his Glazer is a little bit younger. So I try to change the voices with my own voice like this for Armstrong. A higher pitched voice, like a nasally voice for Glazer, and a very whispery voice for Miles Davis.
Well, give us a little sampling of all three, if you wouldn't mind. You can stand up, and that way we can really enjoy
Well,
this.
I hope there's words.
Not to put you on the spot, but you're now on the spot.
But I'm now on the spot.
No pressure.
Let me see. Okay. So Armstrong's a little bit more bent over. Going to tell about how I took the train up from New Orleans to Chicago in 1922 to play with Papa Joe Oliver and the Creole Jazz Band. You don't know me, but you know two things about me. First, I got a bad temper, so don't mess with me. You do, you'll be sorry. Second, Joe Glazer always keeps his word, always. You just got to know what his word is. This reporter cat done asked me, say, Miles, what you think of Louis Armstrong? I say, write this down. Miles Davis loves the way Louis plays trumpet, because Louis plays right on the beat. Can't go wrong when you play on the beat with feeling.
Wow. That was incredible.
Fantastic.
And Joe Glazer sounds like my lawyer.
Audience.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I have a lawyer that sounds exactly like that.
But you know,
it's actually, within the context of the theater, it's a little bit more nasally, but I have to differentiate the characters, right?
Of course.
And Terry wanted the person playing Armstrong to cross the color line, right? So that's why there's not two characters or two separate actors in the play, just one. So I play Armstrong as well as Glazer as well as Miles Davis.
But that's because Louis Armstrong crossed the color line.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you look at the movie High Society, where he's like a pivotal part of that movie with Sinatra and Crosby, but he's still separate.
Yeah.
Now, Miles Davis, in ways, was not a fan of Louis Armstrong, too, right?
Right. I think Miles Davis really appreciated Armstrong's virtuosity, you know, his ability to play the trumpet and what he came up with musically. But what Miles Davis really took umbrage with was Armstrong's stage show, you know, because it was filled with a lot of mugging, a lot of clowning, a lot of smiling, and Miles Davis thought that that was kowtowing, you know, being an Uncle Tom, and so that's what Armstrong hated about Davis, because he hated getting the flack from Davis, but that's what Davis thought about Armstrong. Well,
this is great, and now you're not. People need to see your show, but you look at After Midnight with the music of the 30s being celebrated too.
Yeah, there's Duke Ellington and
Basie, Jersey Boy, and Cab Calloway. There's just this renaissance, and it's because the music was good and the personalities were huge. Yeah. And how you get these three, it's just great. So you can catch performances of Satchmo at the Waldorf at the West Side Theater at 407 West 43rd Street, Midtown. Do it. You can find ticket information on our website, WLNYTV.com/thecouch. John Douglas Thompson, go take a nap.
Yeah.
And rest that voice.
Early.
Yeah, rest that voice. But what an honor. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
All right.